Greetings comic lovers and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews of comics new and old, to history, to anecdotes, to really wherever our whims take us. Spider-Man what ifs? I have a problem. I have a fever and the only cure is more zany Spider-Man stories. That and more cowbell. So for those who missed the last couple of Marvel What If vids we did, firstly, how dare you? And secondly, here's a Marvel What If Cliff Notes in a nutshell. It's an alternate universe style series focusing on what if questions about their popular characters and story arcs. It tends to centralize around key moments that fans would recognize, at least at first. The series is run in many forms, from ongoing to just collected editions focusing on a single event, ongoing again, back and forth, but it's always an idea that Marvel comes back to. We're again going to be looking at the first run of the concept, which ran from 1977 to 1984. Today we're honing in on issue 7, which like many of these has a title way wordier than it needed to be. I give you, what if someone else besides Spider-Man had been bitten by the radioactive spider? I like that the cover won't out Peter Parker's secret identity. I know it's for marketing, but I like to imagine like, no, we can't tell people. It's my headcanon and I'm sticking to it. This story featured 3 adventures starring alternate bite receivers. See, Marvel, I can phrase things awkwardly too. We have Flash Thompson, Betty Brant, and John Jameson. Colonel John Jameson. The cover is quick to tell you. We're gonna be zeroing in on Betty, as you probably gleaned from the title. But before we get started, I'm Sasha, and if you're enjoying this content, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join us on this comic book journey. Please keep your arms and legs inside the ride at all times. The cover, well, it shows you exactly what you're in for, but also features a word I've never seen before. And if you think our tenabulating title is wild, will you dig the way out action inside? I think I just experienced a slang overdose. The only thing way out of this world is that word. What does it mean? I mean, I can extrapolate based on the context, but it's mesmerizing me. I also like that Betty's caption is ready or not. Like, you were ready for Peter's bully, but a woman? That's tenabulating, aka Spidergirl. Our tales are written by Don Glut with art by Rick Hoberg, and we're just gonna bounce from character to character. Betty is our second candidate, so let's head straight there, past the buff watcher, who has been using his time watching to work out. He's multitasking. All of these are spin-offs of the first Spider-Man story, by the way, Amazing Fantasy number 15. So past dead Flash and on to Betty. Yeah, Flash didn't make it. Betty Brant first appeared in the Amazing Spider-Man number 4 back in 1963. She is J. Jonah Jameson's secretary, so Jameson is here at this demonstration of radioactive rays that they are all standing way too close to. And he's giving Betty a hard time for literally no reason. She's there doing her job, taking notes, and he's like, well, take them faster. And while you're writing, let's move up for a closer look. How do you expect to see anything with all these tourists in the way? And high school students. How many people were at this demonstration? This jostling up to the front changes the positions of Betty and Peter, whose eyes meet across this demonstration. Their eyes met as he observed her hostile work environment, and he thought, damn, I need to work there. Their eye contact is sufficient to produce a smile on both their faces, and to prompt Peter Parker to edge his way behind Betty Brant as, oh, a spider. Betty starts to faint, which people around just take as, oh, female delicateness, but also, I mean, radioactive spider. Why is everybody so chill in these what if stories when people get bitten by spiders? Peter catches her as she falls and also grabs the spider. It was just a spider bite, miss. Are you okay? That's a bold claim. Is Peter a spider expert? He just looked at it like, oh, it's fine. We don't need a hospital or anything. You're not allergic, right? It's all good. Peter's not gonna let an opportunity like this pass though. He's gonna ask her out. Look, you're still pretty shaken up, but maybe if you had some coffee. That was actually smoother than I was expecting, Peter. Not deterred by women fainting. He'll take any opportunity, he needs it. Betty wants to go, but Jameson is on her case, screaming at her until he realizes that maybe berating your secretary who just fainted in front of everybody is not a good look. Under the circumstances, I think it'd be best to give your secretary the day off. My word, look how much spine Peter has when there's a date on the line. He's like, out of my way, Kofi. Jonah caves, but not before calling Peter a 4 eyes in his head. And Betty is also keen to go get said coffee. You really didn't need to leave the demonstration early on my account, Peter. Oh, forget it, Betty. There'll be other demonstrations. How are you feeling? Better, and I'll be feeling still better after we have that coffee. I watched Luke Cage. I know what coffee means. So they go out and they find that they actually have a lot in common and are really enjoying each other's company. Betty even starts opening up about working for Jameson and how she feels about it, and the short answer is not good. She gets so riled up she smacks her hand on the table and breaks it in 2. Peter claims that she's a karate expert because it's what one of the other patrons suggests, and he's like, yes, let's go with that. He then tells the owner to send the bill to Jameson. Dang, Peter needs to go out for coffee more often. I don't think you should have said that, Peter. Once Mr. Jameson finds out, he'll fire me. Who cares, Betty? Listen, I've got an idea. If I'm about to lose my security, it better be a good one. Peter says he has a theory and he needs a place to test it. And the narration box does say that Betty is reluctant to let a virtual stranger come to her apartment, but she does because it's pretty strange and they have been getting along. And once they get there, he proves that no, it was all experiments. He just wants her to test her strength and climb on walls, and it's basically a non-comedic version of that scene from Shazam. Also, it features this pink leotard or catsuit. Which is it? Shading, I need help. Peter comes to the conclusion that she must have gotten these powers from the spider bite. Science! I saved the spider. Don't ask me why. Maybe after I've studied it, we'll know more. But now it's you we should talk about. Me? Like what's to become of me now that I'm a freak? Peter, however, tells her that she has great responsibility. Wait. Peter gets bitten, hold up, cash monies, woohoo! Betty gets bitten, you have great responsibility. So he tries to convince her to become a superhero to help people like them. I'm assuming he means underdogs and people who are unappreciated. Peter is really invested in this. Peter, you want me to become a superheroine? Oh no, I couldn't. What if I hurt someone? Even a criminal with my super strength? Peter says that's fine. They have tons of other spider powers she can use and he'll build her some tech. I mean, they could train her and eventually she could learn to use her new strength and let it become part of her, or Peter could just go home and build some gadgets in his laboratory. He's really excited about it. He's like, I have a home lab. Oh, Peter, it sounds like a fantasy, but does it sound like an amazing fantasy? I know it could work. And while you're using your spider powers for good, why was the good in quotes, Peter? I could make us a small fortune on the side, taking exclusive photos of the amazing spider lady. There's the Peter I know. Cash, monies. Also, really, Peter, that's the best you got? It sounds like what people would yell if they forgot her name. Look, over there, it's that hero, the spider lady. Peter goes off to make the web fluid and design the web shooters, and Betty goes off to make a costume. She too is not a fan of the name Spider Lady and is trying to find another one. But she's also embracing the idea of having an alternate persona. She wants to make her costume risque. Also, she just happens to want the same color scheme that Peter did, because those are just the colors that you think of when you think spider. Maybe this costume will give me a chance to let loose a bit. Something the always prim and proper Miss Brant never had the courage to do. It is not long before a lovely vision as strange and seemingly alien as some goddess from the moon is seen in the city's sky. Betty, why? This costume haunts me in so many ways. The just completely detached patterned gloves, boots, and mask, the webbing cleavage V-neck cut, the underarm webbing like gliders that are just there. I know it's all a matter of taste, but I hate everything about it. It's okay to try more than one costume. Just ask the wasp. Her costume suggesting the spider that gave her her powers. Is that what it's suggesting? Is it, does she have super heat powers? It gets cold at night. I mean, I guess she has gloves and boots. It's just like someone told them, we need a hot costume, go. And they were like, oh, okay, going. Why is the mask unattached? Go to your room and think about what you did. Also, she named herself the Amazing Spider-Girl. Her style is most definitely her own. Hold up, that box was blue. Is that the Watcher? Is he throwing shade from an alternate dimension outside of the timeline? He's just like, whoa, look at that. Who's gotta worry about you? I hear Spider-Girl's too chicken to use her super strength. Excuse me, random crook, where did you hear that? Who's been talking? Peter is indeed snapping exclusive pictures of her, which he does then sell to the Bugle, even though the Bugle is running an intense smear campaign on her. Just like with Spider-Man. At least Jonah's consistent. With nearly every issue of the newspaper he publishes blaring virtually the same headline. Really? And it sells? J. Jonah Jameson, the father of outraged journalism. Who is the menacing Spider-Girl? Why isn't her mask attached to any part of her costume? This Spider-Girl is the biggest menace of all, taking the law into her own hands and swinging around that indecent costume. I get the feeling that me and Jonah think it's indecent for different reasons. Peter and Betty are loving this. They just love watching his head explode and knowing that they have their own little secret. Hope you, Miss Brant, brought me some dirt I can print about that Spider-Girl hussy. Hussy? Oh man, there's one I haven't heard in a while. I also now kind of want to see if he would have called Peter a hussy if Peter showed up in the same costume in Mainverse. I mean, the costume is essentially the same as Cosmic Boys from the 70s, only with a mask. That night they go out to take some more exclusive shots. Got it, honey. Now let's get a few of you lifting those heavy crates. Ha! So it's Peter's fault. He's been broadcasting her abilities. I shouldn't even be surprised, really. Also, it just dawned on me that Peter is essentially an Instagram boyfriend, only he probably makes a bit more money. Or does he? I don't think Jonah pays that well. I can see the comments from the future now. What's Instagram? As the evening winds down, a crook runs past them, but Betty is all out of webbing and she's still really uncomfortable about using her super strength. So because of this, she does nothing and the criminal just runs straight past all the way to his getaway car, gets in, speeds speeds away. I mean, she could have done something with the car. That would have been fine, but no, it's fine. We all know what this is building to. Peter defends her against those who are calling her out and says that they should go home because it's roast beef night. The best date night of all. But as they get to his place, they see the cops are there. And you guessed it, Uncle Ben's dead. Poor Ben, just doomed. Betty is horrified and angered for Peter, so she decides to take action as Spidergirl. I've got to stop that killer, for Peter's sake. Guess I've got to admit it. I'm really getting to enjoy this other identity. I only feel free and non-restricted when I'm Spidergirl. And so she confronts the killer in the Acme warehouse, only to come to the same realization that Peter did in the original story. It's the same criminal. Also, important note, she's able to pull her punch to knock him out, but not kill him. So control was possible. She webs him up for the cops to find and then runs off to find Peter. I'm never putting it on again, Peter. Spidergirl is dead. She feels that Ben's death is her fault and says she can't handle that responsibility. That kind of weight, she doesn't want it. You can't hold yourself responsible for Uncle Ben's death, Betty. You couldn't have known. Who are you, and what have you done with Peter? She dumps her costume in the trash in a mimicry of that famous Spidey cover where he quits and leaves. She doesn't look back, but Peter does. He's probably wondering why there's so much fabric in that panel. We all know there shouldn't be. And so ends Betty's time as Spidergirl. Or does it? Yes, it does. This story was way more thought out than I was expecting when I first checked this what if out. There was a lot I liked about it too. I liked Peter and Betty working together, even if Peter was partially in it to get that coin. The two seemed like equals and it felt like they genuinely liked each other. And it was cool to have a hero have a confidant to confide in one of these alternate universe stories, especially a Spider-Man one. It's so easy to just toss Peter to the side or just kill him, you know? That's always a choice. I also liked that he never called her out for being a girl and respected her choices, like her not wanting to use her super strength. He was just like, okay, we'll find another way. Even though he did kind of push her into it, it ended up being something that she also enjoyed. Although I felt the super strength thing was a definite gimmick. Even though her rationale wasn't paper thin or anything, it is something she could have learned to control. I don't know, I'm overthinking it. She was starting to by the story's end though, that's all I'm saying. The whole giving up being Spider-Girl thing I get, but at the same time don't fully buy. I can see it both ways. On the one hand, sure, they established she was a bit uneasy about it, plus the strength thing. But on the other, just a few panels earlier, she was talking about how much she really loved it and how she felt truly free doing it. Because of that, I have a hard time imagining she'd just give it up forever. Maybe just take a bit of a break after this intense experience. If anything, she seemed more resolved to help people than ever, at least before she realized it was the same crook. But all these stories end with the person being bitten no longer being Spider-Man. It's kind of a there can be only one kind of thing, like Peter is the true Spider-Man, that kind of thing. And honestly, Betty's the lucky one because she lives. The other two don't make it. This story's neat and goes a long way to showing that you could do a lot with a Spider-Girl. I am very glad though that when we finally went the Spider-Woman route with Jessica Drew because we needed that copyright, they decided on a completely different costume. If someone's gonna have a derivative costume and be a Spider-Girl, leave that to Peter's daughter, Spider-Girl Mayday Parker, who first appeared in her own What If in 1998. And people loved her so much, she ended up spawning the MC2, which was an alternate universe that ran in its own imprint of legacy Marvel characters. It dealt with an alternate future. It was pretty cool. But that's a story for another time. For now, tell me what you thought of this story. Were you a fan or did you feel it was just a cookie cutter spider swap? Did you love the costume and feel that I just have no eye for fashion or true art? Let me know everything down below. While you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to discuss comics with me. I always appreciate it and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.